Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred. I'm Jeremy Schnell. We are done with the NFL draft. We are done with spring ball. So where do we start, Damon? We start with Cam Skattebo.
Pro Devil.
Yeah, right? Yeah,
Hashtag League Devil.
This is a big deal because Cam Skattebo is one of the top 10, I'm going to say this, one of the top 10 Sun Devil football players of all time, could be top 5. Obviously, with what he did for the program, leading them into the college football playoff this past season, he is now a New York Giant after getting selected in the 4th round in the NFL draft.
One thing I think is crazy to think about is that this team went on the run that it did, and it only got one player drafted.
Yeah,
which
we'll get to that in a second.
A huge statement to what Kenny Dillingham and his coaching staff was able to do, I think.
I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that a lot of them are underclassmen or were underclassmen last year or not eligible to go to the draft. And I think this is awesome for Cam. This is a great spot for him. Obviously the Giants got rid of Saquon, or they opted to not bring back Saquon Barkley last year.
Good decision, do we think?
Not a good decision for them. It was honestly one of the worst.
Good decision if Cam Skattebo turns into the next.
Exactly.
There we go.
If Cam Skattebo is hurdling people and backwards for 2 yards, then yes, that it'll work out for them. But no, I think because of their lack of running success and running room at the moment, that I feel
Tyrone
like
Tracy led the group as a rookie, so
I feel like Cam has a really good opportunity to come in here and, if not start, just get a lot of carries and has a chance to compete for their leading rusher this year, which there's not too many better spots for him at the moment.
It's a good scheme too because of Brian Daboll, so he knows how to use guys like that.
I was going to say that, and specifically, this is an ASU podcast, but we're going to get kind of a little into depth about this New York Giants team, specifically with Russell Wilson. He works really well off play action. That's what he did in Seattle. It's what he did pretty well last season in Pittsburgh. But, since Marshawn Lynch retired and Carson continued to get hurt in Seattle, it was never the same for Russell Wilson. So if he can have that running back and be able to get it to guys like Malik Neighbors, this is a great, like you said, Jesse, a great spot for Cam Skattebo to hopefully succeed in his first year in the NFL.
Especially when you consider his pass catching ability too. So out of those play actions, he's still available as a check down guy or, further down the field like we saw in the Peach Bowl. It's just a match made in heaven, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to predict that he runs for over 600 yards this year, scores 5 touchdowns, and has over 30 catches and maybe
30 catches,
2 scores out of the backfield as well.
Wow!
So that I think he'll have a productive rookie season.
Write it down.
We can just go back and look.
Do a little post-it like inside the NBA.
Now let's get into the undrafted free agent signings. Excuse me. We thought Lee Fontano was going to have a chance to get drafted. Unfortunately did not. Goes to a great spot though, especially as an offensive lineman. The trenches are huge for this the Detroit Lions team, especially with Man Campbell running the show there. So him going to the Lions is going to be great. Whether he plays center or guard, that's still up for debate. But yeah, if he can come in right away and be a backup and work his way up and possibly come in and be a guy if someone gets injured, I think it's going to be great for him. And he's a guy that not only is a good football player, but a good person. He was a leader, Tillman Leadership Council last year. So that's a good spot and a good football player now going, a good person and a good football player going to the Detroit Lions.
I'm big on, in evaluation circles, always betting on the person. And there's not a better person to bet on than Leaf. We saw it throughout his 2 seasons here. I shudder to think what 2023 would have looked like without him when you consider just the difference maker
Played every
that he
snap,
is.
right?
Yeah. And, only a handful of pressures allowed in his 2 years here. It's just, you couldn't script the same way with Skattebo going to the Giants. You couldn't script a better fit for Leaf going to the Detroit Lions, and then really Xavier Guillory going to the Baltimore Ravens as well. That's another good fit. Funny enough, there were pictures surfacing over the weekend of Guillory with, I believe, a friend who had a Louisville Lamar jersey on, like way back then, and so just a perfect fit.
Yeah, I love Leaf going to the Lions. I tweeted this from our show account at AZ Sports Devils on X.
Wait, we don't have a social media manager. It's just you.
We all kind of contribute to it, but
we don't have the budget to hire a social media manager. The three of us.
No,
darn.
But I posted it and I was like, definitely a Dan Campbell guy.
Yeah,
which
for sure
is a Dan Campbell guy. And then
meat eater.
I wanna he Leaf Faltanu has a PhD in biting kneecaps. So Jeff Saturday, who I was going to bring up, he was an undrafted center, and he ended up being 2-time first-team All-Pro, 6-time Pro Bowler.
And he was able to yell at Peyton Manning on the sideline.
He was able to yell at
best friend.
Yeah, he was big friends of Peyton Manning. So obviously,
I'll call the plays.
It doesn't matter where you are drafted or undrafted or whatever. If you are a good football player, you will end up being you have that work ethic. You'll end up being having success at the next level. And I also wanted to talk about Guillory because he's a guy that got an undrafted free agent signing. We'll get into the guys that just got invited to rookie camp. And I said this last year is I thought that, Xavier Guillory looked like a pro to me. He didn't have the biggest numbers in the world.
He has the size.
He has the
prototypical kind of receiver body.
I felt like maybe just sometimes he couldn't get on the same page with Sam. And I think that at the next level, he just needs to continue to grow. But some of the catches that
came up huge in the Big 12 championship.
Some of the catches that he made last year down the stretch were crucial. So, and I think he really helped himself out. Like scouts noticed him. I'm sure they were there for the other guys and were like, oh, this guy's good too. Let's give him a shot. So
Big 12 Pro Day guy as well.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what he can do. But I could see him, at least hanging around on the practice squad this year for the entire season. We'll see how it goes.
He's a good possession receiver, I feel like.
Yeah,
for
sure. Yeah, and
he can take the top off defense though a little bit too.
A little bit, yeah.
And then three guys real quick that got rookie minicamp invites. Emmett Boley is going to the Bears minicamp.
The Bears.
Super cool for him. He started at a D2.
Yeah. Caleb McCullough, who stuck it out through the thick and thin here in Tempe. He
really came on because of the Keyshawn Elliott injury in the Utah game.
Yes. So he's going to Cincinnati for minicamp. And then just 24 hours ago, we heard that Malquan Stovall will be going to the Bucks for minicamp there.
I think Caleb McCullough is a guy that will end up in a training camp for somebody just because he goes so hard at all times.
Yeah. And I think it says something that he stuck it out through everything that happened at ASU.
Deals with adversity well.
Yeah. Now, who do we think is going to get drafted in 2026? And shout out to Damon because he put this list together with his roommate, former employee here at the station. But
not going to name drop him.
Yeah, no.
Danny Shapiro.
Oh gosh, why'd you have to do that? He doesn't deserve that.
Head.
Feed into the big head. He does have a really massive head. Coming from somebody that also has a really massive head.
All right, real quick. You ready, Damon?
Yeah.
Sam Leavitt.
I think he probably gets drafted.
Jordan Tyson.
I think he probably gets drafted.
Shimon Mateer.
I think he probably gets drafted.
Kyson Brown.
Maybe.
All right.
Can play his way into it.
Ben Coleman. He's got to have a good year.
One way
positions.
or another, he probably gets drafted from what he's done at guard as well.
Maxi Iheanacho.
You were close.
Yeah, it's close enough.
Okay,
kind
so
of.
Again, I'll say there's a soccer player with a similar name, so that's why.
So Max, I've seen mocked in some first rounds already.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Clayton Smith, edge rusher,
definitely has the potential too. I think we've got to see it first, though.
Justin Watley,
same thing, has the potential. We got to see production though.
Elijah O'Neal.
Benefits from that JUCO ruling that recently happened.
Yeah.
Think he has all the talent in the world to get there.
One of the best pictures I've ever taken at an ASU game was of Elijah O'Neal. Funny enough.
So great. Thank you for letting us know.
Okay. Keyshawn Elliott.
I think there's a good chance because of that green dot aspect, and
Yes.
he's a big leader on that side of the ball.
Jordan Crook.
I almost feel better about him than Elliott. Just
Really?
Because, the way he came on in the middle of the last season, and he's been totally destroying the offense in spring, so I feel good about Crook as well.
Xavier Alford.
We know he's getting drafted.
Jesus Gomez.
Potentially. Maybe an undrafted guy. We'll have to see what he does.
Yeah, I mean, if he has a good season, he'll probably go to a team.
Loop just got drafted. So if he plays like Loop.
Loop has a heck of a leg, as we all know.
This next one was maybe an insertion from me.
Yeah. Eusebio, wasn't he a true freshman last year?
He was in his second season.
Okay.
He is technically eligible.
Yeah, I added this one because he's awesome, and
Because he had one really good play last year?
I've seen him in practice. Let me tell you, I've seen him in practice.
I mean, no
do it on the field.
No shade.
The practice has a field.
No shade to Derek Eusebio, but
Yeah, we
I don't
love
think
him.
I don't think it'll be his time next year.
Yeah,
you
not in
guys are
26.
sleeping.
No, we're wide awake here.
The next great slot receiver.
Speaking of next great,
Okay.
a lot of good additions to get into.
Tell me, Damon.
So there were 3 transfers this week. The first 2 were some twins from Iowa State.
Very interested in this.
Yeah, this is big. So they're both on the offensive line. Brent
Literally.
and Wade Helton. What?
They're literally big.
They're very big. Yes. Brent is 6'5", 320. Wade is 6'5", 300. I'm sure that is both music to Jesse's ears.
Great name. Wade.
Yeah,
Wade is a great name, just so everyone knows.
Yeah, Jeremy's got a dog named Wade.
He's also a
Let's
Miami
move on.
Heat. He's a Miami Heat fan.
I'm
so,
from Miami.
Again, see, this is a problem here. Jeremy's just making it
I
about
just
himself.
want our listeners and our viewers, if you want to watch us on YouTube, you can watch us there on the Arizona Sports YouTube channel. I just want everyone to get to know me. I want to have a personal relationship with our listeners and viewers. You understand?
I understand.
Yeah. So if go ahead though. Yeah. Continue with the transfers.
So the word on them out of Iowa State was that they were kind of trending toward playing this fall, maybe. It seemed like both had come out of high school playing mostly tackle, but that both had kind of learned guard and center over their redshirt seasons. We know Kenny Dillingham talked at the beginning of the spring portal opening about how he wanted some more snappers brought in. We'll have to see if the Hiltons can help on that front as well. But just really good developmental projects on that offensive line for Coach Saga Tuatele. They never saw any snaps as true freshmen in 2024, but obviously with lots of guys that will be funneling out after this season, some opportunities for playing time coming up in the future.
I mean, and obviously they had ASU had a nightmare scenario 2 years ago with the offensive line. Just everyone getting hurt, couldn't catch a break there. So bringing in depth at this position in particular, I think is huge coming into this season, especially when you have someone like Sam Leavitt, who you think is going to throw the ball a lot more.
Also, guys over 300 pounds, always good.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
And
And
then
you want to protect your quarterback.
Yeah, the other transfer, Maurice Williams II out of Houston.
Love this one.
Played
Can I call him Mo?
I don't know. You'll have to ask him.
Okay, because I like when Maurices go by Mo.
Is it also the Mo Williams of it?
I don't know. I just like Mo.
Any
Mo's a
relation?
cool name.
Anyway, 99 snaps as a true freshman at Houston, most of which came in special teams. Word on him out of Houston was that he's mature and smart, good leader for his age. All of these things sound like things that would check out for Coach Dillingham and Brian Ward.
99 snaps as a true freshman is huge.
In the Big 12 as well.
So he has that experience. He's really going to help the secondary at a position which is very deep as it is.
Yep.
So I think, sky's the limit for Maurice Williams II.
Could lose Xavier Alford and Miles Rouser both after this year. So good to have safeties coming in and kind of building it up.
And good to have a safety that will back up Ghost.
Yeah, we know Ghost has a tendency to maybe get
A targeting penalty.
yeah, things like that, or late hit penalties, things like that. So definitely good to build out the depth of that room.
Absolutely.
And
All
then-
right, 2026.
Yeah, 3 2026 guys came in.
Great story with Scott. Let's talk about
Yeah,
that.
Nayland Scott, who
Yeah.
we all witnessed commit in real time.
Yes.
We watched that happen. And it came...
Kenny Dillingham will do anything to
he
get someone
really
to commit
will.
to his school.
He'll even bear crawl 100 yards.
It's just insane.
Anything within the rules. Let's clarify that because
Yeah, so
Yes, sorry.
He did a great job, came over to us right after the bear crawl, and he made clear to the media that he cannot talk about what just happened, but he had to do it, and so he did it. We found out how or why he had to do it. Nayland Scott told me after the fact that it was a bet from his track season where he had to break 11 seconds on a 100-meter dash. He hit 10:98, and
Wow.
so the bear crawl came, and it's perfect.
That's fantastic.
What other coach would you see doing that?
And he commits to ASU after, having schools like Auburn, Florida, Nebraska, and Wisconsin all in the mix for him. So getting a commit with those big-time programs in the mix, huge.
Do you guys think Jordan would have let Bill Belichick do the bear crawl?
Jordan?
His girlfriend.
Yeah,
Jordan, good
Nelson.
one.
Yep.
Like, who is that?
All right, Cardé Mack.
Yeah, Cardé Mack is fun. He played quarterback and running back.
5'9", so not going to play quarterback here.
Right. But,
Hey,
maybe,
Doug Flutie was 5'8".
maybe some chance for a little
Is
bit of
5'8".
wildcat action.
It's not the 80s anymore.
Okay.
Anyway.
Who's the guy that played for Miami and Houston? De'Aaron King. He's 5'8" too.
Where is he in the NFL?
That doesn't matter. This is college.
Anyway, Cardé Mack had over 1,800 passing yards, 18 touchdown passes, only 3 interceptions, and 1,900 rushing yards, 22 touchdown runs. So this guy totally is just producing at a high school in Texas. SMU, Ole Miss, Houston, and Texas Tech, some of the other ones. And both Scott and Mack are both top 500 in the class. Pretty good to add to the group.
And then Oscar Aguilar.
Yep, another linebacker adds to it as well. He's a top 100 at the position. Super productive season. Had 102 tackles, 14 for loss, and 4 sacks in just 11 games. So just absolutely productive in California. Obviously a little bit lower end of a recruit, but, as a whole, the class is up to number 11 nationally.
Yeah, just
According to which site?
247.
Okay.
So I love where this is heading in terms of, obviously we went off the list of players who could get drafted next year. Those are really big contributors to this ball club from last year, and we're expecting them to contribute a lot coming into this season. But those guys, if they do leave, go to the draft, what have you, it's seeing that this class is at ranked 11th, and, they continue to add guys, and, they're not done recruiting by any means, but...
We know Jake Fetty is firmly entrenched in that class as well.
Correct. So as they continue to, grow as a program and, life after Sam Leavitt and such, they, need to get these recruiting classes to be in the top 20, top 10. So it's good to see, obviously. Yep. Now let's get to men's basketball. I really don't want to talk about this, guys. I really don't. It's scary.
We can go quick through it.
All right, Damon. Trevor Best is still here. That's good, right?
Yeah,
Yay.
he is. So I've kind of got him penciled in as like a backup point guard just because of some of the other talent they brought in. Mo Odom, the internet provider, as we will call him.
That's so good, man.
Yeah.
So good.
The top 5 in assists per game last year at Pepperdine, with a great assist to turnover ratio too. 7.5 assists to 2.6 turnovers is really good. Pretty good 3-point shooter as well. Adante Holloman, I've got penciled in to start at the 2. He averaged about 17 points on about 39% on threes, so pretty good shooter there. Bryce Ford and VJ Wallace, some of the other depth at that position. Marcus Adams, who's the CSUN transfer, he's who I've got penciled in at the 3 right now. 16 points, led the Big West in effective field goal percentage. Some other guys in there as well at that position. Guy like Alan Mukeba, who's actually a Belgian. I don't know if we knew this yet, but I think there's 4 international guys on this team now. Andrea Gerbovic, who is another one of those international guys transferring from that Adriatic League, like we talked about. He's more of the stretch 4, 44% on a few threes per game. And then the San Diego transfer, Santiago Truett, would probably be the starting center right now. That is the position where I would really love to add
I was just
high major experience.
I was just going to say that they need someone over 7 foot.
It would be lovely.
Let's just be honest with that.
Okay, well,
losing Leo Curtis was huge.
Here's the problem, though, as I mentioned with, we've never really seen, and Warren Washington doesn't count because he was 6'11". We've never seen somebody over 7 feet tall ever really have success under Bobby Hurley. So,
Quaintance?
He's 6'9".
What about Phillips?
Phillips had stretches, but I don't think you could say.
I'm not going to say success.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nothing about now that you put this in a depth chart standpoint, it makes me even more concerned about just every time you rattle off these names, it's like Big West.
Yeah. It's missing a lot of size. It's missing a lot of high major experience.
You know what I'll say? Because when we talked about the team from 2 years ago, I was worried where the points were going to come from. I'm not so worried about where the points are going to come from because they have guys on this team that can score. More worried about the defense and the percentage and shooting.
I'm worried where the points are going to come from because these guys scored at a lower level. We've seen it before where somebody comes from a lower level to a higher level and their points per game drop. That's just expected. And so I don't see where the points are going to come from. I don't see how they're going to be prepared to defend these Big 12 teams. Literally, Houston's in the Big 12. They just played for a national championship. They almost won that national championship. This, to me, seems like the worst team in the Big 12.
I have a name to posit here who could help with both scoring and defense.
Do it.
He's one of the names that's still out there in the transfer portal. I think we're kind of waiting on the NCAA stuff, whether it be the House case or some of the other rulings that are going on this summer. The name that's out there that I've heard connected to ASU is Tyon Grant Foster. Yeah.
He's so old.
Okay, that is irrelevant.
I don't care. Honestly, I don't care. If he's good and can play, like, you can be 35. I don't care.
We've seen him kind of dominate the WAC of 2 or 3 years running. Obviously, there would be a lot of question marks as far as health, as we know he's dealt with some heart things, and we know that there would be a lot of eligibility question marks. But if all those can be answered and he does end up at ASU, I think it would be just the biggest win possible for this team right now. Obviously, he's not going to fix everything. He's not going to change the 3 through 12 of the roster the way that it maybe needs to in the Big 12. But to have a guy like that where you can firmly bank on and say, okay, that's the best player, I think that it would be a huge addition, obviously. And then another name that's been mentioned is TCU's Vashon Allred. Both of those guys have been talked about as potential guys that could be added to the roster as well.
Yeah. I'm worried about this team.
All right, real quick, too, as much as I love Tyon the player, too, he's still coming from the WAC.
Yeah.
So it's just, right now, I'm going to say that they're looking like the worst team in the Big 12. Hopefully, they can prove me wrong.
All right, let's go around Sun Devil Athletics real quick because we're running out of time here. Baseball has been really good over the past 5 games. They've won 5 in a row. Right now, they're
a couple run rule games.
Bracketology saying they could be a 3 seed, so that would be nice. But we'll see. They're 30-16 at this point.
Probably the best season under Willie, would you say?
For sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
without a doubt. And I mean,
this late in the season, and looking toward the tournament, for sure, best season.
Yeah, if they do make it to the tournament, I think it would be by far his best season, obviously. And then Isaiah Jackson, he's been so hot as of late. He's up to 4 homers in his last 3 games. Vu had a program record 6 steals on Wednesday, which is outstanding.
How do you have 6 steals in a game?
He had it by the 5th inning also.
He stole it all.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's a great job by
a lot of records coming
Wu.
from that program lately. Obviously, in that BYU game, they broke the record for home runs after just 2 innings.
They have
they're just on gangbuster rate right now.
So they'll be at Baylor on Friday, and we'll have to see how that one goes. Now for softball, they're also looking toward becoming a tournament team. Conference tournament starts May 7th, I believe. So we'll see how that goes.
They're done with their part of the regular season also.
They're 34-18. They went 14-10 in the Big 12, which is, again, a very good conference for softball. I know Oklahoma is now not in the conference, but
still got tagged and things like that.
The Big 12 has always been good for softball. So good luck to the ladies as they go into tournament season starting May 7th. Men's golf is the number 1 seed in the NCAA regionals that start on May 12th. Duh. Always have a good golf program here at ASU. Women's golf, they're hosting a regional starting on May 5th for the first time since 2009. Great job, ladies, and good luck as you go into the tournament there. Women's tennis as well. They play Ole Miss in the first round of the NCAA tournament on Friday. That starts at 7 a.m. Super early, but
a lot of matches to get through.
Yeah, go out and support these ladies. They have done a great job all season. Women's lacrosse, they play Colorado in a 2-3 matchup in Boulder in the semifinals of the Big 12 tournament. I believe this is the first year of Big 12 lacrosse, so that's pretty cool as they continue to be a pretty good program in women's lacrosse. And hopefully they win that one and they get to the finals on Saturday at noon.
And big reason we're going through all of these extra sports is, with everything going on in the House case, one thing Graham Rossini told us before the Fan Fest is that, while a lot of schools are kind of cutting programs, you've seen UTEP cut some, GCU cut its men's volleyball team, some others around the country as well. Graham said he and ASU are going in the opposite direction in terms of adding more scholarships. The number he gave was 225 new scholarships across all these sports. And, so for them to be prioritizing these other sports in a way that, the rest of the country isn't, maybe it'll give them an advantage to kind of dominate those other sports.
Only thing that concerns me about this is the potential of all these schools getting rid of teams. Like, aren't they going to have enough opponents to play? Is it going to be something where it's a really, really, well, not watered down because it would be all the elite talent, but is it going to be something where they're playing the same few teams every year, which wouldn't be the worst thing in the world? I think that could actually help kind of with this conference realignment thing, but we don't want to see programs cut from schools. So hopefully it's only a few schools that decide to go down that route, and the other, bigger universities keep these Olympic sports, because it's also a great training ground for getting athletes for the United States to the Olympics, which obviously
Not just the United States, but other countries as well.
yes, for sure. Yeah. But for sure. Yeah.
And ASU has the advantage of being one of the largest universities in the country, so they have the advantage of being able to afford to keep these programs. It's just, like you said, Jesse, the possibility of losing opponents. So we'll continue to pay attention to that, and we'll update you as we learn more.
Graham talked about the benefit that ASU has as being a research university and how it's, really right next to Phoenix with all the metro things that go on in Phoenix and all the business opportunities that are around ASU and things like that. So it's really just a perfect storm for ASU to succeed in this environment is what he was getting at.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for listening and watching. You can find us on all forms of social media. At AZ Sports Devils is where you can find us, including Threads, Jesse.
We have Threads.
Yeah, bringing that one back. Also, Damon's articles are all on the Arizona Sports app and arizonasports.com, presented by Y-Refi.
Those are my tip jar noise.
Yeah. For Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred, I'm Jeremy Schnell. We'll talk to you soon.